So folks, we're nearly ready to go here. Could I just ask you please to put your phones on silent? But if they go off, there's no panic. Or if somebody wants to go out to the loo or whatever, there's no panic. Do you want water? You have water, okay. Hello and welcome. I'm Cliona Foley and this is Off the Bench, a podcast about women's sport in Ireland and abroad. Now we usually record in the offices of Off the Ball inside in central Dublin, but today we are here in Croke Park, one of the most prestigious places in this country in terms of sport, and we're here courtesy of Lidl Ireland because they're here for the launch of the 2019 Lidl National Football League and a new competition for post-primary schools to win jerseys and equipment for your school. So if you want to do that, you check out lidl.ie/jerseys for more information. To celebrate that, we are here with a fantastic panel of inter-county players. From my left is Sinead Gordick from Dublin, Breed Stack from Cork, Lorna Fusciardi from Wicklow, and Aisling Maloney from Tipperary. Never least, Aisling, last but never least. And what's really thrilling for us as well is that we have a live audience here, not your regular audience, but a live audience of elite athletes. We've got players from many of the counties who will be playing in the Lidl National League. We have managers, and we also have, very importantly, I think, as well, officials who keep the show on the road and are the volunteers who are the lifeblood of this organisation. So we're delighted to have you all here. Welcome to Off the Bench, everyone. Now, they say a picture or a photo speaks 1,000 words. So rather than me blathering on up here, we're going to look at a few pictures and we're going to ask these lovely people to tell us what they mean. So we'd like to look at the first one. And it is not an action shot, but a shot that I think speaks volumes about women's football in this country. Sinead Gordick from Dublin, you might like to tell us who's in it, where is it, and what's it about?
Yeah, I suppose that's a few of the older girls on the Dublin team that have been playing since under 12. Sinead Ahern, captain, Niamh McAvoy, Noelle Healy and Nicole Owens, and it was after when we won the All Ireland, and we were in town and we saw this. We didn't know it was we didn't know it was there beforehand. We actually saw it first time in Temple Bar, and I just suppose it took us, you know, it was a bit hectic after we won, that we kind of just looked at it and we said, man, like that's a massive number to be at Croke Park supporting Dublin and Cork, you know, and 50,000 people, 141 is massive. So to see that figure attending like Croke Park finals, and it's thanks to the work that Lidl are doing, you know, in terms of the promotion of the game. I think since 2016 they've invested 3.5 million since their sponsorship. So just to see that in Temple Bar, it's a slick way to do it too.
It's a really slick way to do it, and I didn't know that. You didn't know it was there. I thought it was a set-up picture by Lidl. You actually came across it.
No, we were literally somewhere else in Temple Bar at the time.
it was the day after the All Ireland final, so there had been some celebrating done. So it was the next day after the All Ireland final this year.
So we didn't know it was there. One of the girls was like, "Look, this is up here," so we just ran up.
So Lidl commissioned that and put it down there, and I think lots of people went along and took their photos with it. If you cared about women's sport, you tried to go down there and get there. I'll check later. I'm not sure. Is it still there, Jay? It's still there. So if you want to go and take a selfie or do a photo down there in Temple Bar, you'll find that. It's a really brilliant piece of graffiti that speaks volumes, I think, about it to mark what an amazing historic occasion we had last year. So that's great. Now, something else I want to ask you about is we hear you're just back off the slopes, the Dublin footballers. Can you tell us ski holiday?
Yeah, we went to Andorra, 35 of us from the panel with management and the families too of management. So it was a brilliant
I
trip.
Can't believe Mick Bohan let you go skiing. When was it?
Yeah, just after for New Year's. So it was a good kind of time to spend with the team. So there was a lot of trying to people learn how to ski.
Are you as competitive on the ski slopes as you are?
Yeah, there was different levels, but I wasn't very good. So it was a great experience to go away, you know, with the team and with the managers and their families and stuff like that. Great. So it was a good way to bring in.
Can you reveal to us exclusively who is this demon skier on the Dublin football team?
Lucy Collins.
Really?
She's a very serious and person. You know, she gives everything into how she plays football, and even on the slopes she was slow and steady, but yeah, she was
never
good.
gave it up.
Yeah.
And funding that, Sinead, how is that done? Because we know that very often male players get their holidays paid for by sponsors or whatever. How did you do it?
Yeah, it was I suppose like we have a sponsorship committee within the team which involves players, it involves managers. Mick Bohan was a driving force of it. We had a corporate fundraiser that in Clontarf Castle. We also did coaching courses for younger groups in Dublin that they get to come along, and then we did a raffle draw, and some of the money was invested into you know, not just the senior team but the development squads.
So you fundraised for that holiday yourselves?
Yeah, and
combination of that. And
yeah, combination, and a few sponsors on board too. But I suppose it was kind of like, you know, we saw an opportunity, I suppose, after the win, and you know, it was a lot like Mick Bohan, and you know, there was Joan Kane, that is one of our players' moms and stuff like that. So you know, there was a huge work that went behind the scenes to it.
Right. Well, it was a deserved one. The woman beside you, I suspect, has been on quite a few team holidays from winning All Irelands. Breedstack, 11 All-Irelands, 7 All-Stars, and we have you here today. You're not playing this season, you've just announced your retirement, and we wanted to mark that because a couple of things. You're one of only 4 players who played in all 11 of those All-Ireland finals, am I correct? Every single minute of them, is that right?
Yeah, I suppose I was lucky enough to stay out of Eamon's eye line for long enough. Yeah.
And also, you're the last link to the 2005, to the year you won your first one.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, I'm telling my age really, like, yeah, but I suppose, yeah, I started off Eamon came on board in 2004, and we won our first All-Ireland in 2005, and it was just an absolute roller coaster of a decade then.
Amazing. Well, we have a test for you, Breed, because
Oh,
have a look at the photo and tell us what All-Ireland final is that? That is a sight every footballer who ever faced Cork dreaded coming looking at them. It's 2009, would you believe?
So, yeah, I was going to say I'm looking fairly young there, and the roots aren't as bad.
You haven't changed at all. You haven't changed at all. 2009, and it was a one-pointer in 2009. What do you remember about it?
Well, I just remember, I suppose, look, like I say, like, it's just been an absolute roller coaster, and there's a couple of All-Irelands that will always stand out, but I suppose, look, like any of the competitive girls that are on stage and in this room, you know, when you're playing, you're always looking to the next year, the next year, the next year, and unfortunately that next year it finishes eventually, you know. So I suppose just so grateful that we've had such an absolute roller coaster and enjoyed every single bit of it. But I suppose I just encourage every girl here, you know, to really appreciate the now and just absolutely go out and play your heart out for as long as you can, because it's just so worth it, and I have so many fantastic memories to last me an absolute lifetime. Yeah,
it's something lovely that Breed said legally. She said the most important thing was the friends and the happiness that she got from football, which we'll talk about a bit later. But it's interesting, as I said, I was looking for you today to see had you come in, and I was looking for a Cork jersey. It was so weird. I was actually looking for her in a Cork jersey. So they're going to miss you. You didn't play last season. You took a time to think about this, and we'll talk about that later on as well. Lorna, we have a very special photo for you, and we want you to tell us when it was taken and tell us about it as well.
So that was last year we actually finally got out of the Division 4 league. So that's myself and my daughter, who kind of looks like a boy there. I got mistakes for a boy so many times because her dad, you know, dressed her and didn't put a bow in her hair.
So that's Harley. Harley is
how old
Harley
now?
She's
my daughter. She's now 1.5. And obviously it's such a great and even more special occasion when you have someone that special there after winning.
And you win something.
And winning, of course, yes.
And Lorna was part of the Wicklow team that won an All-Ireland in 2011.
Yeah.
And was that your first piece of silverware since?
Yeah.
So it was a really big occasion for you.
Yeah, we had a kind of a bit of a, I think we lost maybe 11 or 12 starters from the 2011, so we really had to rebuild. But we're finally kind of getting back up there now this year. Last year as well, so I'm looking forward to kind of hopefully we'll win a bit more.
While we're on that topic, because it's an interesting one, and we see this changing with women's sport at the moment, which is, you know, mothers going back to play at elite level. These are our Serenas. She is our Serena, and we have several more of them in inter-county teams. Sinead, there's someone on the Dublin team who has a child, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, Amy Connolly and Emma McDonough.
Two on the Dublin team at the moment. Obviously, Breed Corkery needs no introduction as well. How soon did you go back to club football and then to inter-county football?
Yeah, so I had Harley in August, and then I think the girls, I literally got back, I think she was 5 weeks old, and the girls were in the club final. And then, well, I didn't go back straight away. I went back about 6 weeks and went back training, and I was just delighted to be back. It's a long time to take off and then obviously the girls are doing so well that you really feel like you're missing out. But I think I went back 6 to 8 weeks after, went back to club football, and then county the January after.
Wow,
yeah.
wow, that's amazing, because it's a physical change in your body, so to adjust to all of that is pretty amazing. But we are seeing more and more of it, and that's, I mean, you are Serena's, you're the role models. There will be more women who have children who will go back to inter-county level, and that's a real growing trend, Bree, that I don't think you would have seen when you started out.
Yeah, I suppose, look, there probably wasn't too many occasions where that happened, but I just think, like, women are just different animals as well. I think these days, they want to be competitive, they want to strive in their workplace, they want to have families, and isn't it fantastic, that we have such role models like that in ladies football that, are really saying that, look, you can have it all, but obviously there's massive time management in it.
Yeah, I mean, we all say you can have it all, but it means there must be phenomenal discipline, phenomenal organisation, and phenomenal support, which we'll talk about later as well. And Aisling, tell us about this photo.
Scared for this one.
No, it's nice. It's a good one.
Yeah, so we won the Division 3 league, I presume. Everyone kind of is aware of that. And we went on to win the Intermediate All-Ireland. And in the following year, we had no expectations whatsoever of winning Division 2. And I suppose that was a massive day for us as a team and a massive day back home in Tipperary in general. So I suppose that was a turning point for us at home, for younger girls to start coming in and getting behind the team as well. So yeah,
that's Aisling getting the Player of the Match award. She's been very modest today. She scored 5 points from play in the Division 2 final last year. And Aisling McCarthy, who scored 10 that day, 7 frees, is actually at the moment down in Australia, and hopefully will be returning before the league is out. But what does it mean to Tip? You are now playing historic Division 1 football for the first time in the county's history. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I suppose it's a bit strange. It's probably the first time ever that there's been a Division 1 team back in intermediate. But I suppose, look, you want to be up at the best and playing against the best, and it's a massive thing for Tipperary ladies football in general to be up there competing. I suppose we'll learn a lot of things from playing the likes of Dublin. I suppose we've Mayo next weekend now, a great start to the campaign. But sure, look, we'll see how it goes. I do enjoy and challenge, and I suppose it's a great thing for us going forward into the intermediate championship.
Yeah, it really is. One of the things that is going to make this season special for us as supporters as well is the notion that there are so many double headers matching with men's games, so that supporters can go to both, don't have to be heading to 2 different directions when the county women and men's teams are playing. We have 13 of them this year, 7 in Division 1, 1 in Division 2, something I think is brilliant, 3 in Division 3 and 1 in Division 4, because I always think Division 3 and Division 4, they don't get enough attention from the press. So to have people going to those games as double headers with their men's games, I think will really do huge things. Sinead, you've been involved with double headers obviously here before. What effect does it have? Can you actually feel an effect, and do you get more support, and do more people see you?
Yeah, I think even just within the camp, you dream to be playing in Croke Park, and especially in the league, there's opportunities for players who might not have been in the starting 15 in Championship to get the opportunity to play. And, that's what you sign up for, I suppose, when you play county football, is to get the opportunity to play in Croke Park. So I think it's absolutely brilliant, and to hear 13 games is amazing. I was even chatting to Breed, unfortunately, like, she's 7 All-Stars, 11 All-Irelands, and she didn't have the opportunity, do you know what I mean, to play in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So to see the improvements that are happening and the work that, all the LGFA are doing and Lidl, that it's brilliant. So hopefully it will continue on, and it just will drive the game, and it's in a really healthy place at the moment.
Breeze, we got offended. We all got offended on Cork's behalf. On the Rebelettes, we always say, why are they not allowed to play in Páirc Uí Chaoimh? And it just seems to me to be such a shame that you never got to play there. But how did you feel about that? And was it ever even on the agenda? Did you ever come close to getting there?
So I suppose, look, when we won our very first All-Ireland, that was in 2005, and that same year the Camogie girls won and the Cork hurlers won. And I suppose we were always a bit, overshadowed by the hurlers, by their success. And I suppose, look, Cork was predominantly like, a hurling county first of all, and, they always kind of took precedence. I suppose from that, when you're starting off kind of at a low birth, and not saying like, you know, but I suppose in relation to where we kind of fell in Cork GA, I suppose we never maybe massively expected a whole pile. We kind of made do with what we had for a lot of that time. We were very kind of self-sufficient, and like Sinead and the girls, we did a lot of fundraising ourselves for everything we had to get. So I suppose maybe there was an element of maybe that we never asked for it. You know, maybe there was that element to it, but I suppose, look, it wasn't being offered to us either, you know, but I do think maybe just as a group of girls, maybe we never, you know, pitched to really strive for it, whereas, you know, look at the leaps and bounds that's after coming in the space of a short decade, like, you know, for the girls to get the opportunity to play in the biggest stadium in Cork, to play before a senior men's game, like, it's the stuff of dreams. And, you know, I think this year the girls are actually training in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well, which is, you know, unbelievable.
That's a huge thing as well,
it's fantastic. And I suppose, like, we were lucky enough, Eamon had a couple of contacts, you know, back through the years, and before 2 All-Ireland finals, I think we trained there.
Did you get in?
Yeah, we hopped the gate, yeah.
I bet you did.
we trained there twice before 2 All-Ireland finals, and I just remember, like, it was just a carpet, and it was just the stadium, and it was just sent shivers up through you, and I'm so glad that the girls are in that position now.
To play on that quality surface as well is such a huge help to players. I think people don't ever realise that, how much you value playing. Aisling, I was talking to you earlier, I can feel the buzz off you. You're going to get to play in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and you just can't wait.
Yeah, and I suppose I've probably grown up in an era where, like, unlike Breed, I've grown up in an era where everything is kind of happening. Like, Lidl are on board, ladies football is becoming a massive thing, and I suppose I wouldn't say we take this for granted, but I feel like it's all happening now for us. You might think the same, like, whereas when they were growing up, they didn't have these opportunities. But I think it's massive for the Cork girls in general, like, that they never actually got to play there, and I think it's, out of all the double headers, I think that's definitely the standout one. Yeah. It's great to see it happening, and hopefully there's more to come.
Great. Lorna, there is the possibility, an amazing possibility for you, but I think it's been stymied. But tell us why the second round and the fact that Wicklow have a home game with our men's team has such relevance for you.
So I wasn't sure if I'm allowed to say this, but
say it away.
So I recently got married. So my husband plays for the Wicklow men's team.
You can give his name.
So Darren Hayden. So it was obviously a big opportunity for our families and our support and our friends that there would have been a game of us playing before the men's team now not in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah,
but unfortunately Darren's actually missing that game, but it's obviously just still a great opportunity for Wicklow football.
Amazing.
And for the lower divisions, just like, because we obviously don't get a lot of support, and it'll actually be our first time playing in Aughrim, which is our county grounds. I've been playing Wicklow for probably 12 years, and we got to play an actual game there. So it's massive for the support, I think, and families and friends, and not have to, as you were saying, go opposite ends of the county.
I mean, it would have been an amazing, I mean, the whole media would have been down there if the two of you were playing. It would have looked as if it could be historic, where a husband and wife were both playing a National League game in the same venue on the same day. It would have been fantastic. And it will happen, I think, soon. It will definitely happen, maybe for you again. But what do you do on match days? Like, you're both playing, and how do you organise your life? Dublin, and so she's a club teammate of Sinead. Sinead, tell us what you like to play with. You played together in the half-back line?
Half-back line, and I think Lauren, I suppose, in terms of, was probably been the best player in our club season this year, you know what I mean? She's been fantastic, and Emma McDonough also has a child, and Amy Connolly. Both Emma McDonough is playing Dublin senior football, and so as Amy Connolly did last year. So I suppose when you see role models like that, you know, I suppose sometimes as a player you're thinking about work and training and complaining.
Will I slack off tonight just a little bit? Yeah.
But you don't realise that when you go home, then they have to mind the kids. So it kind of it does put things in perspective. You know, people, like
no pressure.
She has to mind someone else. I'm trying to mind myself. So and
get all the gear and make sure you're there. It is absolutely amazing. So yeah, well, look at that double inter-county connection with you and your husband is fascinating, and we hope that we can't do it, but I hope it does happen for both of you someday. It will be an amazing thing to see. We are here obviously today with Lidl in conjunction with the launch of the 2019 National League and a new competition as well for post-primary schools. And to win jerseys and equipment for your school, check out lidl.ie/jerseys for more information. We'd like you to show you a little video now, because we're talking about progress. We're talking about how much things have changed. I mean, even from Breed's time to Aisling's time, we can see already that the progress is being made in terms of access, coverage, You know, I heard Jackie and sponsors today talking about all this new live streaming, which will make a huge difference to the visibility and the recognition for these players. But Joe Malloy in Off the Ball did a fantastic interview recently with a Kerry player, Eileen Lawler. Now, I was lucky enough to see that great Kerry team play. They won 9 All-Irelands in a row. They won 11, they're equal to Cork, but they won 9 in a row from 1982 to 1990, if I remember, and I was lucky enough to see 3 of them. And to me, they're the hidden team of Irish sport. You know, nobody knows much about them. You occasionally hear a name, and there's very little footage of them. But Joe Malloy on Off the Ball interviewed Eileen Lawler. We're just going to show you a little clip of this, but I would recommend for any of you who have an interest in the history of women's football and to understand, even as players, the changes that have taken place, to go and look this full interview up. It's about 18 minutes on YouTube, but we'll just have a little look at it now.
I was looking through the various results. I make it 1986 was the first final at Croke Park.
Yeah.
Where were you playing before that?
1986 was the first one. I remember distinctly. We were playing Wexford, and we were all so delighted. It really made a huge difference.
Had that been a big campaign? Was that a big issue at the time, a big talking point?
Yeah, it was a big talking point. Like, every player, no matter who you are, wants to play in Croke Park.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was a small crowd, but we didn't care. You know, we wanted to play in Croke Park. We played, before that, we played in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Okay.
So that was the biggest jump up to that. And then before that, it was just parish pitches anywhere.
Was it really?
Yeah.
All-Ireland football finals?
All-Ireland football final. Like, we played Nina in our first final in '82, poured out of the heavens. We had a shower, but I don't think the water was too warm that day.
Someone mentioned to me there might have been one year where you were changing in someone's sitting room near the pitch.
Yeah, that often happens, you know. And as well as that, like, the facilities at that time weren't great anyway.
Sure.
In all over the country, you know, and I wouldn't doubt that. But, and ladies football wasn't well known. And so, you know, the pitches, you play wherever you got the pitch. And, you know, we didn't have any sponsorship. And mostly at the time we just kind of... you know, we made our way to the pitch, to the matches, and sometimes I remember girls hitching back to Dublin after a league final, or you know,
there was no bus, or
there was no bus, or else, you know, if you were playing, you know, if we were playing Dublin or we were playing Wexford, there'd be always 1 or 2 girls that might be playing or working in Dublin, and you'd always get a lift back for them and whatever else. So it's just kind of
different times.
Different times, yeah.
And like, so if you win in All Ireland, is it in the national newspapers the next day? Is there a bit? There must be a bit of a write-up.
Yeah, I think actually one of the first sports journalists really to pay heed to Kerry was the late Con Houlihan.
Really, yeah.
You know, and we couldn't wait to see his paper, the Evening Press. You know, that what it was called, wasn't it, at the time? And he was very good to ladies football, and he loved.
I didn't realise that actually.
Football, yeah.
Right.
And he always came. We used to have our. You know, our announcements or whatever in the Merchant. I know she is Merchant down the Quays, and he'd always be there. And he was great. But we'd always get a small little bit, you know, 10 lines, and then following year might get 20 and might get 4.
Did I?
So that's what it was like to win 9 All-Ireland titles in a row, and that was the sort of coverage that they were getting. I remember going down to Kerry in, I think it was '89, to do a pre-All-Ireland piece. I'll talk about it again sometime, but there were no flags, and they had been thrown off a training pitch so that an under-15 local club team could train there on that Saturday morning, and this was the weekend before the All-Ireland final. So those are the changes, guys, that they've seen, and even Breed, I mean, what do you make of that when you see it?
Yeah, I suppose, you know, like when I look back, you know, it's such a stark contrast to what's going on at the moment, and then you go back another, you know, 10, 20 years, and it's, you know, it's gone back again, like, you know, but just the leaps and bounds are just absolutely phenomenal. Like, even I remember, you know, one of the first years that I was on the senior team, I think I was 15 or 16, and this was before Eamon came on board, and we were going up the country to go to, I think it was just, I can't even remember who we were playing, some championship game, but we stopped off in Mother Hubbard's on the way up, and every single player had a massive full Irish fry put in front of them, and that was our pre-match.
Get it into you.
Yeah, so like halfway through the match, then you'd a lump of black pudding coming up to say hello, like, but we didn't know any different, like we didn't think any different, and I think it was until kind of Eamon came on board, and I suppose he was coming from, you know, a men's football setup, so he had probably, you know, obviously exposure to a lot more professionalism than we had, and he just made changes kind of from the onset, like, you know, and It was just simple changes. Like, granted, we were probably still eating a lot of hot chicken rolls at that stage in 2004, but you know, a lot of that changed. And I suppose it's all information and it's all learning kind of as you go along.
And the coverage, Aisling, does that surprise you even? You know what I mean? That in Division 3 and 4, I always feel really sorry that they don't get more coverage because the papers always tend to concentrate on the top two. But does it surprise you to see that, like the level of coverage that was back then?
No, as Breed said, I think even in 2 years and 3 years it makes an awful difference in terms of social media. Even like me, Goldie, like the three of us would agree when Breed, like if you think back to 5 years ago, even All-Irelands, like they weren't getting the coverage that they are nowadays. And I suppose even at the minute, I suppose the current All-Ireland champions, Mournaby, probably should have got headlines as well. So there still is a bit of room there for improvement. But going back to when they were playing, like it's just the difference and the contrast is totally different.
Could you believe it?
No. But I suppose I wouldn't have to agree with Breed now in her fry-ups. I'd be kind of fond of one of them for matches. But no, it's absolutely brilliant. I think every year, even comparing last year to this year, there's been a massive contrast in as well. I think every year, like a year makes an awful difference. And I think it's just getting bigger and better. But it's crazy to think back then that that's what they were doing. Like,
getting lifts home for the opposition if you could, or whatever from final. Lorna, I often wonder, like, what are the challenges when you're at Division 3 and Division 4? And like Tipperary, a classic example of it, they've worked their way up. But is there more challenges at that level in terms of retaining players, getting exposure, and also I think getting exposure sometimes helps to retain players as well? Maybe, am I right?
Yeah. Like as the girls were saying, I do think it's so good, even if the coverage and the social media and all this is with Division 1 and 2 teams. I think it's very good for the sport itself, but for the Division 3 and 4 teams, I just think it is about the player retention, and like it's fine for myself and the girls who play, but we're not actually affected. But I think for say the juveniles coming up, the underage coming up, like they don't have a real idol to look up to, where say for instance like we have Goldie like all over the billboards, which is like obviously she's an aspiration to myself as well, but so the Dublin younger girls and the Cork, the likes of the bigger teams, they all have someone to kind of look up to. Where in Wicklow, I don't know if we really have a lot of that. And then
because you're not getting live TV coverage, you're not getting as much exposure on the media as they are.
Yeah, and even the men's, like if there was a men's or a women's game on, like majority of people probably would go to the men's game rather than the women's game. So I think it's more about the future of the ladies GAA for the smaller counties, and for the Division 4 counties is what is kind of more of a concern rather than the now, I think.
And how to build that. How to
get players on board.
The streaming of games, I know, I spoke to somebody today, they're going to stream across the divisions this year. They're not just going for the top divisions. So that's really important for people to be able to see Division 3 and Division 4 football, to give it prestige, to make young girls want to play on the county team. And then they're not going to go to America in the summer, because that's a big problem for ladies football, is you do lose players. Yeah. Breed, one of the things I was curious about was your first All-Ireland final was 2005, and actually I was looking back at stuff. Claire Malloy, who will be starring for the Irish rugby team against England on Friday evening in Donnybrook, came off the bench in that game. She was playing GA at the time. The style of football and the tactical analysis, I mean, where do you see the changes there now?
Well, I suppose, look, over the last, however, decade, we've never been a massive crowd for tactics, I suppose. There was always kind of a big ownership on versatility on Flair, about how poor some of our skills were when he first came on board in 2004. So like I said, he came from a men's background, so he just chipped away at the basics. And I suppose, like, even we met up there a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about like how we must have done the same 6 drills over a 10-year span, like, you know, but it wasn't the case if you ever got bored of them. The reason he did them continuously is, and I suppose, look, being a PE teacher, I would have a massive kind of, I suppose I would just have a massive interest in this, is a player's perceived competence, you know, and if you do something and, you know, you get success at it and you continuously repeat it and practice it, you know, it then becomes second nature to you, and then you can bring in speed into it. When you get very good at speed, then you can, you know, your decision making then takes center stage. And I just think, like, if you can develop someone's perceived competence, you develop them as a person, and you're giving ownership to them from the very start, and you're giving the decision making process to them very early on. And I think he did that from the very start, but he made sure that we were versatile in whatever position he put us in.
Yeah, you were total football. It was like total football. You could play anywhere, so a lot of it.
And like, even I suppose, look, that goes to a testament of, like, even just for example, like 2 of the girls, like Deirdre Riley, started that 2005 final and playing centre forward, and ended her career playing centre back. Geraldine O'Flynn started her career playing corner forward, wing forward, ended her career playing wing back. You know, like he just kind of made, I suppose, just made us feel very confident in what we were doing. And I think, you know, that leads to people staying with it. And like I said, if you get success in something, you enjoy it a lot more.
And that skill, that absorption and that constant practice is so important, Sinead. We have a school here, obviously, today, Donabate Community College. We're delighted because we have their journalism class. They've got in their TY, they have a journalism class. So we're hoping that we're going to produce some sports journalists from being here today. Shout out to them. But that notion, and people probably don't even understand that Mick Bowen, when he took over Dublin, making you dual-sided was his obsession, wasn't it?
Yeah, like as you know, as Breed says, you know, like we're doing right hand, left hand, and it goes back to, you know, it's the same thing in terms of consistency. You know, then you get confidence, and you be an expectation. You know, it makes you versatile as a player and stuff. So it's about being the best footballer that you can. You know, and there's so many footballers around the country that you can see it happening a lot more in ladies football, which is brilliant. But it should be an expectation, I think, in terms of
and that's, but that ability to play under pressure, that core competencies you talk about it, that's what we see. We see it in the junior and the intermediate finals here every year now as well, and in the league finals, where just the skill level has gone up across the board, and that's down to pure hard work, I think, a lot of the time, isn't it?
And being a back and a player can have like 2 feet, you know, it does make you think a lot more. So like, you know what I mean? You don't know what one they're going to go with. So like, it's great to see. I know Ashley Maloney is brilliant, you know, in terms of her skill set. And there's a lot of girls. I think that's what we're trying to breed in Dublin. You know, when we're training underage groups and stuff, is practice with right and left feet, because we're only starting, I suppose, I only tried to focus on it the last 3 years or so, you know, where it wasn't probably when I was coaching
God
the most
help
important
them if
thing.
you'd done it earlier.
So I think it is, like, you know, it's in terms of coaching, you know, at underage levels, and if any county player is going into setup, you know, it's really about kind of getting that message across, because I think it's really important.
And how many of us, when we started off, you know, we all learned how to punt kick the ball as opposed to curling the ball, you know. And now, like, you see fantastic girls all over the country, like being able to curl ball, kick off the outside of the boot. Like, these are the skills that should be taught, you know, right from a young age. Like, not just like that your own mode of kicking has to be
by qualification. But you've just taken a slight break from it, Breed.
Yeah, just on a career break this year. So, but I absolutely love teaching. Like, I love being around young people and their enthusiasm, so I don't know how long it'll be, but for the meantime,
well, we've seen Geraldine O'Flynn is already back coaching in Mourneabbey, and that's brilliant to see players in the 2020 thing. One of the things is to get women back, 20% more women in sport at every level, and definitely coaching is something that we need to grow as well.
Yeah, and like Geraldine carrying, you know, Glanmire Club all the way up to an All-Ireland final and winning an All-Ireland final, like that's Glanmire, like it just shows it's just come full circle. And I know Ger, and like, you know, we'd often chat about kind of the drills she was doing, and it's so funny, like they're just so you know, reminiscent of you know, the first drills that we started with Eamon, and it's all about the basics and getting the basics right.
He still has his effect on the
He's still haunting us,
He's still haunting, exactly. Breed, why now? Because you look as if you're fit enough to still be playing. Why did you take a decision at this stage?
Don't worry, I'm looking forward to the middle-aged crowd now there.
Actually, before you go on, tell them about the 30 club, or the 30, or the over 30 club, or the under 30 club.
Oh no, we're definitely over 30s, but think we're under 30s. So yeah, no, we just kind of, I suppose, made it an annual thing starting last year. We like to meet up kind of once a year, but now we're...
This is your former Cork team?
Yeah, I suppose the 2005 team, like, yeah, so it would be like, you know, like last year we had kind of a big gang all together, and it's kind of whoever can make it. Like, so Mary O'Connor was one of the players that was at it, like, and Mary now has, you know, gone on to fantastic things, like, you know, with Sport Ireland.
Yeah, she's involved in 2020.
Yeah, so like, you know, when you've players like that, you know, to look up to, and I suppose, look, they're just great catch-ups and great to talk about old times. And
so you meet once
and
a
it's
year.
So funny you talk about old times, but it literally feels like just yesterday, like, you know, with some of them. But yeah, no, so...
And do you do like a lot of former players, me included, sit there and go, oh, I don't know, you know, it's changed since my day, or do you go, wow, it's changed, I wish we were playing now?
First of all, there wouldn't be a lot of sitting anyway, I'd say. There'd be a lot of us thinking that we can still throw out a few moves, like, you know, but...
so you're dancing?
You're trying to anyway, yeah. But no, sure, look, it's lovely, and I suppose it was a great catch up with Eamon and Frankie and
they come as well.
Oh yeah, and Mary Collins, all those, you know, Noel O'Connor, who would have been involved with Waterford for previous years, but would have been involved with us for years. Yeah, like it's just brilliant, like to. I suppose, but it is funny though how quickly it goes. Like it just seems like, you know, it just went by in a flash. But I do think though that is down to being so competitive, and you know, even like, you know, Sinead and the girls here, like no doubt you're looking to the next year, and you want it to be as good, if not better, than the last year. And I think as sports people, that's what you're always doing. You're always driving forward.
And winning does make it easier to put in that hard slog every winter that all the players in this room have just put in. 100%. It definitely helps when you're winning. That's why we'll be so interested in this league to see who comes through. And we're going to ask you, because you're experts and we're not, maybe to give us a little tip, either a player or a team that you think is going to be a little bit of a dark horse and might be one worth watching in the 2019 Lidl National Football Leagues. So Sinead?
Team or player?
Either or.
I think, I suppose Jennifer Dunn from... Can it be, does that be?
No, it doesn't matter. It can be from anywhere.
Jennifer Dunn from Dublin. She plays with Coola. She's just starting out in DCU, but she's come on. You know, she came a minor, but last year she came on like the last 15 minutes of every game. But she's a brilliant footballer, and I can see a massive future in her in terms of her playing on the pitch, and also as a person. She's you know, got her head on her shoulders,
which is important.
Yeah.
If she's mixing college and everything else. What about you, Breed? You're the Cork representative. You may not be playing. You're the official Cork representative here in the non-official capital.
Well, look, obviously, you know, there's fantastic talent still in that Cork team, and you know, like even last year, I think we counted up that there was something like 67 All-Ireland medals in that team last year. None of them have stepped away. You know, there's a lot of minors that are after coming on board. It's, you know, look, I think even the experience of last year's final alone, I think everyone could appreciate it for the fantastic display of football that it was, and the strength and the speed. Like the speed was just phenomenal, like up and down the pitch. And I just think they'll learn a lot from it. Those younger girls will definitely take a lot of substance from it. And you know, I can definitely see bright things in the future. And you know, hopefully another All-Ireland captured, you know, in years to come.
So she's not ruling out Cork. She's saying they're there. They're not going away anywhere.
The other team, actually, I do think that is definitely one to watch, though, would be Galway. I suppose that Galway have always been thereabouts, you know, for many years, and I think, you know, if you look back on any of the league campaigns, Galway have always, you know, really pushed everyone to the pin of their collar. I remember a couple of years ago we played Galway, and it went to a replay in the league final. They were just a phenomenal team, and Galway are always such a traditional footballing side. They always have great talent, and I went to the All-Ireland minor final last year between Cork and Galway, and I just remarked on how brilliant some of their minors were. And I suppose, look, I kind of looked up the panel this year, and there's a couple of them on it, like I know their captain, Lindsay Noon, I think is it? Yeah, she's on the panel this year.
Interesting.
I had her picked out as like a very, very good player. Yeah, and I suppose, look, they're after getting back a few players as well. Granted, they have lost, you know, fantastic player in Emer Flaherty.
One of the greats.
Yeah, absolutely. And
you know, retired.
She is just like, she's such a stalwart in that Galway team. So will be an absolute massive loss. But they are getting back players like Dora Gorman, and I know there's another Deburka girl that's coming back as well this year. So
and actually Mairead Coyne, I think, is a Irish rugby team coming to the squad as well.
So I just think, you know, like if they drive on and do very, very well in the league, I suppose you just think that they might have it in them to take that step further. I know they have pushed Dublin and you know, many times, and last year's league final, you know, was a tight contest as well, like, you know. So I don't know, I just think there might be something in that Galway team coming. And
no pressure, anybody who's out here from Galway. but we put a little marker down. But that's what being good at something is that you can take that pressure, people can praise you, and you can play up to it. And that's what the great teams like Cork and Dublin have done. And over the years, Kerry and Waterford and Mayo and all those teams could do that. What about you, Lorna?
Well, I have a player in mind who actually has been around for a while. She's a great friend of mine, but I play club football with her as well. But she's just been kind of unlucky with injuries over the years. But I think this year Laurie Ahern will really step up for us as one of our wing forwards, corner forwards. I'm not sure where she'll be playing, but we've kind of missed her in the past couple of years.
Right.
And then obviously, I hope we do well.
Well, this is the great thing. You're up a new division, you know, and that's the excitement of the league, isn't it? That you do get to go up a division and see now after last year. What about you, Aisling?
I suppose as a player that probably everyone is aware of, but I think Melissa Duggan from Cork is a girl that doesn't get enough recognition that
I
she
agree
deserves.
with you. Yeah.
And I suppose she's a player that I actually don't fancy marking. Herself and Emer Meany below there, they learned from the best on it, pulling jerseys, that's all they'd be at.
Get it in now, Aisling, because they're going to pay you back on the
Melissa
pitch.
Duggan is probably up to my hips, and she's catching me by the legs, while Emer Meany's catching me by the head trying to go for the ball. But I definitely think Melissa Duggan, even this year in terms of ball stars and stuff, I think she's a girl that doesn't get the recognition she deserves.
Okay.
And I think if people keep an eye out for her, she's an absolute amazing talent.
It's really,
such a lovely girl.
it's really interesting you should say that, though, because I spoke to your teammate Amanda this morning, and she said that I was asking about going up the division, and she said in training, I always like to mark Aisling Maloney. She said sometimes she roasts me, but that's what it's about. I have to mark players that are really hard to mark, and so that's what she pushes herself to, and that's what football and that's what improvement is about. Guys, it's been fantastic to have you. Before we finish up, there's just a couple of things that we want to do. Obviously, again, thanks so much to Lidl Ireland for having us here at the launch of the 2019 National Football League and their new competition for primary schools. So to win jerseys and equipment, just look up Lidl.ie/jerseys, and you'll get all the details there. Before we finish again, I would ask you to just recommend to you that you go and find the full interview with Eileen Lawler. Lindsay Davey is in it from Dublin as well, but it is a really brilliant interview. And for those of you who are playing this generation, I think it'd be fantastic for you to hear the history and where it came from and how things have changed. Sometimes I think we think when things aren't changing, they're not changing fast enough for us as players. You know, things aren't moving fast enough. But I think you'd be surprised at how much things have changed in the last 30 years. You can find all the previous episodes of Off the Bench on the podcast link of Off the Ball. And we also have a Twitter handle. It's at Off the Bench OTB, capital O, capital T, capital B. Serious support is something we feel really seriously about on Off the Bench. In all our podcasts, we say women can't progress and get opportunities and get sponsorship and get help if people don't go to watch them. So we feel really strongly on Off the Bench about the same notion as #serious support. The Women's National Leagues are starting this weekend. It promises to be a fantastic season, but we really, anybody who listens or hears this podcast, we really are asking you, you know, we know there's streaming, but really, if you even try to get to one game this season and bring a friend, that would make such a difference to the players because they love your support, but it also helps them to get sponsorship and to get coverage and to persuade the media that they deserve the coverage they're getting. Really all we have left to do is say thanks to a couple of people. Thanks to the LGFA, Jackie in particular, Jackie Cal. Thanks to Croke Park, as we say down the country, for the loan of the hall. Thanks to everybody on our production team here. But especially thanks to having a live audience. Thanks to you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed it. And particularly thanks, let's hear it for our great panel, Sinead, Breed, Lorna and Aisling. Thanks, guys.